you can see we're ready. If it rains, we got the wets, and we're ready for them. So
got to be impressed with Sean. He's riding well.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting better. I mean, he's just got to get through the traffic a bit faster, but other than that, he's riding really good. So yeah.
Big day. Can he win it?
We need a bit of luck, but I'm pretty sure we can.
Okay, now we're approaching the end of the third hour, and we have leading the machine, number 34, the Dean Evans Motul Suzuki GSXR 750 with Jamie Stauffer on board.
Well, let's take a look at the hour in review, and there's been plenty of exciting moments. Warwick Nowland came out and had an impact on the race straight away. Got himself to the race lead. Plenty of guys, unfortunately, throwing their machines down the road. The Stevens boys struggling just a little. Full course yellow coming out. Trouble here too for the Rock Whalen combination. Team Budget Army also having their fair share of dramas. However, Chad Turnbull has been turning up the wick almost a little too much aboard the Kawasaki after a great battle with Stouffer. Turnbull deciding to hand over the reins and put some new rubber on for Geronimi. Unfortunately, some trouble for them in the pits. And that's basically where we come to after the first 3 hours of the Austar 2 Wheels 6 Hour from Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway. Now a reminder, tune in at 5 p.m. today to see more of the 6 hour action from Eastern Creek Raceway thanks to Austar and 2 Wheels magazine.
In the chase for outright honours, unfortunately this FZ50 had to be scratched.
Welcome back to Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway. You're watching the second half of the Austar 2 Wheels magazine 6 hour endurance race. And there has been some unbelievable handlebar heroics so far this afternoon. Dennis Neal is going to take us for a lap around this circuit, courtesy of the Eastern Creek Motorcycle Wreckers onboard camera. Michael Dowson will give us a high-speed look at the circuit, and Dennis Neal, who joins me in commentary, will give us a bit of a better understanding of how you get around this place. And people, keep your eye on that speedo, that digital telemetry there on the dash. Dennis, over to you, mate, and I hope Michael Dowson stays upright.
Well, this is awesome. Great footage here. He's leaving the pits on this awesomely powerful 150 at the rear wheel horsepower R1. Just warms the tyres up here, comes down to turn 12, onto the straight now, big double apex left-hander. You see them winding up through the gears, 10, 11,000, 220, 230, 240, 250. Jeez, these things accelerate. 285 kilometres per hour. Back a gear through the very fast turn 1. Just get the bike online, get hard on the throttle again, hold it through that 1 gear, then back down through the gearbox. The second gear to this left-hand turn 2 corner. Off cam, we've got to be very careful coming out of here. Short shifted into third, as he does there now. And lean the bike over to the right, up into 4th gear. On an R1, you've got to be careful not to lift the front wheel too much over this crest of the hump there. Hold 4th gear, back down to 3rd through the right-hander here, turn 4. Get on the power early and get your line set up for this next turn 5. 3rd gear through here, change into 4th once you've got the thing straightened up. Try and straight line it through this little dogleg section of the track here for the climb through turn 6. Climb up the hill, very, very fast part of the circuit, up into 4th gear, 3rd gear here, 4th gear up to the blind left-hander at the top of the hill here. Really hard in the mouth stuff. Hold 4th gear through here, 3rd, back to 2nd for the tight right-hander here. Very important to get the power on early here. Now this is where our R1 can really spit you over the bars, light up the rear tyre, up through the box again, 4th gear into 5th. Very, very fast part of the track here, down to turn 10. That's very important. Back to 3rd gear here through this big double apex, right out to the right. Back on hard on the throttle as you come onto turn 12, through turn 12, onto the straight. You see the tacho climbing, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, as fast as I can speak. Just drive right up through the speedo, all the way to 289 kilometres per hour. To hit there through the very fast approach to turn 1. Now that's a real fast lap on the Michael Dowson R1 for the Austar 2 Wheel 6 Hour.
what's happening so far?
Dead set race fans, Dennis Neal all but rides his chair around the commentary lounge. This is a bit of a look at what's happened in the first 3 hours, and I can tell you it's been frantic. How about this? A king's entrance for World Endurance Champion Warwick Nowland. He arrives in the chopper, gets an aerial view of the circuit, and pretty well straight to the pits to get sorted. Mark Willis will take off on the bike first. A Le Mans start for this event. Full grid of riders, some 50 teams nominating for the Austar Two Wheels Magazine 6 Hour from Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway. Plenty of on-board cameras, and I can tell you, the boys have come to work hard for this one. Plenty of bikes coming down the road very early. Pit strategies being awfully important. Tyres, fuel, also rider fitness playing a big part of this one. Plenty of bikes, unfortunately, going down the road. Everybody pretty well A-OK. Thomas being one of the first few to go down whilst holding down a pretty strong position. Chad Turnbull and Sean Geronimi getting everybody's attention with an excellent qualifying effort. Plenty more exciting stuff still as the riders trying to keep these bikes on the circuit. Beebe, one of the ones that nearly attacked the camera position. This man right here, Tony Rees, looking at the job and running away with the race lead. Chad Turnbull handed the reins over to Sean Geronimi. The young fella was more than up to the task. Mark Willis came into the pits to hand over to Nowland. Michael Dowson handed over the Yamaha. But Marty Atley is back after riding for an injury some weeks ago. Graham Morris aboard the Bike Biz Yamaha. Unfortunately, trouble for Chapman aboard the Cessnock Motorcycles entry. It brought out the budget car and truck rental pace car. We saw this happen a few times in the first 3 hours, unfortunately. Back out in front, and it was Graham Morris who was to lead away, but Warwick Nowland, showing why he's the World Endurance Champion, was chasing him down hard, and then Motul Suzuki. Hour 3, and Morris well and truly with his hands full. Warwick Nowland began his attack and through to the race lead on the Newcastle veteran. Nowland not long after handing over to talented Curry youngster Jamie Stouffer, whilst the Stevens boys certainly had their hands full going into turn 1. A full course yellow. Once again, the pace car coming back onto the circuit to bunch the field up. The Team Budget Army boys having their fair share of trouble as well. Chad Turnbull looking very strong. A scary moment for him coming up shortly after a great battle with Stouffer. Nearly high-side the machine. Sean Geronimi climbs on board, but no, there's a problem. They send him back, tighten up a wheel nut on the rear wheel, and that's where we come to now. The final half of the Austar Two Wheels Magazine 6 Hour. Well, that was a really brief look at what has been an exciting first 3 hours. Now let's move to the last half of this 6 hour event, and you can see now Trevor Jordan coming in, the Trevor Jordan team at the very least, and Eddie Warren is a big part of this race team today. Hasn't done a great deal of road racing competition, but man, he's been around a supercross and motocross track a time or two.
Well, that's right, and that's the beauty of these 6 hour races. You can get other teams involved, and Trevor Jordan runs a successful Kawasaki dealership down in Wollongong. Eddie Warren works for him. Eddie enjoys his racing. They decided only a couple of weeks ago to enter it and have some fun, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Avard and Wilshaw putting in a big ride today so far. It's got to be said that Mark Avard, that we said earlier, doesn't have a great deal of time on the tar, but Graham Wilshaw's been around a time or two as well. How about these youngsters? They've got to be happy with this. Sean Geronimi aboard the Kawasaki. Turnbull has set one of the quickest laps, in fact, I think the fastest lap of the day so far, aboard a 600 against 750s, 900s and 1000s.
Yeah, no, he'd be very happy, and he's proven that he's an established star and has in fact set the fastest lap here today. But the racing is frantic here. Look, you see one of the competitors, I think Daniel Breen it might be, losing the front end of that 600, the CB900 Honda. Pretty upset with himself. He's really upset not only for himself but for the whole team, because it really is a team effort to put together a successful assault on this particular race.
Let's watch it again in replay. Just loses the front end and down he goes. It's got to be said too that people perhaps don't realise how confusing the weather pattern has been so far today. There's been, intermittent rain. It's only been light, but it's probably challenged everybody to get their tyre choice right. You see there, Breen just booking up the bike. It's a bit of steward education going on there behind. So the conditions have been a little bit tricky, Dennis.
Has been very difficult. A lot of the team managers have been in conference with the tyre people down there, trying to guesstimate basically what the weather's going to do. At this stage, even when it did shower for a bit, there wasn't enough rain to necessitate changing from the slick tyres to the full wets.
I think Daniel Breen might have just been collecting a few breaths there. That one might have hurt a bit more. Meanwhile, sweeping through the traffic. Oh, there's our race leader, by the way, Daniel Stouffer. Aboard the 34, it's Jamie Stouffer, my mistake. The Stouffer boys do look very similar on the bike, but Daniel's not even here today. Sweeping out of the left-hander, things are going very much to plan at the moment for the machine that is going to be brought back by City Motorcycles if it's brought back in one piece, right?
Yeah, no, Dean Evans has done a great job stringing this team together in about a week and a half. The boys from Motorcycle Weaponry have been doing a fantastic job preparing the bike and doing the wheel changes and tyre changing. Frank Pons has tuned the suspension on the machine, and the riders are putting in a great effort putting the whole package here together. Our young Jamie Stouffer is doing a great job. There's a lot of pressure on him here to hold his end of the bargain up with the two very well-known riders that he's with, but he's certainly lived up to the occasion so far.
Frank Pons, I wonder if he's from the Pons Institute. Coming into the right-hander. Not the only one that's smiling, Dan. I must have got that one right through on you. Here is the 88 team, the Ducati. This is an interesting story right behind this. A lot of endurance success so far to this team's credit.
Certainly have. John Lyons, Mike Sutherland and Peter Hinton doing a fantastic job in this two-valve machine here today. It's been supplied through by Fraser's Motorcycles and has some assistance with Michelin tyres, Castrol, the Bears and the Ducati Owners Club are the backers of this machine, and they're doing a great job on a machine with only about 80 odd horsepower against these much more favoured high-powered bikes.
They've certainly got some credits to their name already in terms of endurance championships, and the Ducati, in fact, has a pretty interesting statistic in terms of endurance here in Australia.
Yeah, it has, and I believe that machine last year was the first time worldwide that a Ducati has won a production-based class in an endurance race. So they've got a lot of credentials behind them, and they're living up to it here today because they, at this stage, look like taking out the Bears class if they continue where they are.
Well, we're getting towards the business end. This has been a long day so far for some of these guys. Stouffer is enjoying this. He is the reserve rider and getting plenty of seat time on a brand spanking new Suzuki. So he's got to be enjoying the day so far. Not only that, he gets to ride with two very decorated internationally and nationally riders.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Great experience for him. And back when I used to ride in the 6 hours, as it is now, it is really great experience because you've got a lot of time on the bike and you're out there with other competitors, and when the faster competitors come by, you try and hang on to them for a half a lap, or even if it's only a few corners. You can learn more in a 6 hour race than you can racing right throughout the year.
Graham Morris still hanging on there out there doggedly, gives away quite a few years these days to some of his younger adversaries, but man, look at Stouffer just braining them at the moment. Earlier in the day, it looked like it was going to be a pretty tall order for the Dowson team, but they've soldiered on. They had a pretty poor qualifying run, but they're really starting to come back now. Avard and Wilshaw have been a real surprise pack, and I think these guys are really getting right up there.
They certainly are, and the team looks good. They've got matching leathers on there. The bike is supplied through South Lakes Motorcycles, and the owner of South Lakes down there working on the machine. Real hands-on team, not with a lot of budget, but they're doing an admirable job.
Well, unfortunately, it's Kai Weck, Pat Galvin and Chris Wilkie whose days is going to get a little bit longer. Unfortunately, the Technic Motorcycle Clothing sponsored team, the 55, has gone down the road. There's been a lot of people go down today. Oh, Friedman, Agaritsis and Steinbush on the Aprilia 250. They are also going to have a bit of a disappointing result to the day. We're going to go in the pits and catch up with Jamie Stouffer. Wow, spectators from all points of view here today. I bet Stouffer's a happy boy. Two fellas of very different vintage standing in front of us here. Dennis Neal, the younger of the two.
I wish. Yeah, Jamie did a great job out there for the Dean Evans team. Brilliant job, and rode really consistently. The bike's looking good. We changed front and rear tyres on that stop, which was our plan. So he did a really, really good job. Really happy.
Riding a pretty nice bike too, Jamie. How was it?
Yeah, bike's really good. They made my job easy out there with Warwick and Mark going out and getting a fair lead, and I just cruised around and held my position.
You're riding with a pretty awesome team, mate.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? They're both excellent riders. I learned so much off them this weekend, just being around them, and it was set up of bikes and whatnot, so it's been great.
Dennis, there is a little bit of a complication with the lap scoring system at the moment, so nothing really changes, does it? They still just got to go hard.
That's right, the 6-hour race is always like this. They've got two systems, transponders on the bikes and a manual system of timing. I believe the transponders are playing up a bit, but I'm sure they'll work out in the long run. We know we're definitely well in front. We've had no problems. It's just been a faultless race so far.
What's going on here? We've got the Kawasaki team members joining. What's it go here, Turnbull? What are you doing down here?
Oh, I just come down and say we're having a great little dice out there. We're carving up riders everywhere. I had a ball. Just come down.
Did you notice he liked being behind me?
Oh, did you like that?
You notice I couldn't get past?
Well, we'll see you guys. Are you going to match up again in the next session, do you think?
I'm up next hour.
I'm not too sure what I'm doing. Depends on Warwick and Mark.
All right, so who's going to win, Suzuki or Kawasaki?
I'd say we're going to win. It's the Dean Evans team. So
I'll give it the best shot I can.
Well, Chad Turnbull rarely lacks confidence, and today has been a pretty big ride. Oh, man. Skordos just getting back on the number 1 bike. Second crash for the bike today. And you got to count on earlier, almost get off when the bike went all agricultural on him. So it's been a pretty tough day at the office for the defending champs. And frantic in the pits, you can absolutely bet on that. And that's all part and parcel of 6-hour racing. We've got a problem here going into turn 1. You can see the doctor there waiting to go out onto the circuit. Yellow flags are waving, and we believe it is, oh no, it's the Kawasaki of Sean Geronimi has gone down the road. So we just spoke with Chad Turnbull not 30 seconds earlier about how they're going to go, and there is Sean. That is a lonely walk out on lap 112, and he doesn't want to go back and tell Chad Turnbull that they've just gone down the road. Tough break for the young fella because they were riding so well. I'm sure Chad will be disappointed. We'll try and catch up with him. What a sad way to end what was going to be a great day for a very young team. Well, Chad, the look on your face pretty well says it all, mate. The day's over.
Yeah, about 10 laps after Sean went out, he lost the front going into turn 1, and pretty much I'm going down there now just to see if the bike's walkable to come back. But yeah, it's pretty much over.
Fastest place, part of the place to go down too.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken to Sean. He's got a few bruises and cuts on him. He's not looking the best, but I think more than anything, his pride's gone. He's been trying hard to get the bike sorted for this weekend, and it's not his fault. He's trying hard, and that's racing, mate. You just get on with it, pretty much.
Well, Sean, a day that promised so much has unfortunately come to an end prematurely. What happened?
I was just starting to tip into turn 1, and I tucked the front. When I'm not sure what happened, but it just tucked the front. I was doing the same every lap, and then for some unknown reason, I just crashed.
Really fast place to do it too.
Yeah, it was really fast. It's the fastest part of the circuit. It was sort of somewhere that I've always been dreading to crash, but I've done it now, so hopefully it'll never happen again.
You yourself, how you feeling?
Oh, good. I've just got a few bruises on my arm and on my elbow and stuff, but that's nothing.
Yeah, a couple of days you'll start to feel it.
Yes. Hopefully not. We've got to go to New Zealand in 2 weeks, so I think I'll be over it by then.
Yeah. Disappointing because you guys are running really strong.
Yes, Chad was riding really well today. Pete, the mechanic, and all the pit crew, they were really good today. It's just fortunately I had to crash.
Well, we know he's disappointed, but he's copped that one pretty well on the chin. You can see there Roy Gay, Rodney Taplin, and Tony Jaksic in the pits there. Taplin has been a pretty talented rider this year. We've seen a fair bit of him.
Yeah, Taplin's been doing a great job in the Aprilia Challenge, the 250 production class, and I think he's a kid with a great future.
Well, poor old Geronimi, he has got to be just feeling lower than low. You see, the boys aren't really frantic with their work here on the bike, so perhaps this could cost them a little dearly. Geronimi's going to be feeling badly, but Turnbull's going to wear it too.
Well, Turnbull, yeah, it's very disappointing, but as I say, that's racing. Everyone's out there trying to do their best, and they certainly were doing great things on that 600 up to the point where Geronimi just suffered the pressure and did a bit of a Geronimo off it.
Paul G back on the number 7 bike. The bike bears Yamaha, so a little bit of tactics in terms of rider positioning going on here at the moment. It's rocketing away and looking very good on the 34 bike. Our first string rider, the number 34 bike, is Warwick Nowland. In fact, he's back on the machine, so Nowland can really turn up the heat here. Back to the 42 of Mark Gallagher, Mark Peterson and Steve Harley aboard the Panorama Motorcycle Club entry. Oh man, it just gets worse for the 28 team. going off the circuit. A lot of guys having some offs today, so does you get a bit tired and concentration start to waver?
Well, I think that's what happens. Yeah, it is a long race, and it's one of the 400 clubman class machines there, taking the escape road, having a bit of a look around, thinking, I was pretty lucky. A bit more pit action here with the number 2 machine coming in. It's Michael Dowson, R1 from Sydney Eastern Creek Motorcycle Wreckers. He's going to hand over to Marty Atley. Marty doing great things here today, considering that he's just come back from that severe injury earlier in the year at Broadford, where he broke his leg quite badly.
You know, he's a passionate racer and he wants to do well today, especially with Dowson riding as his teammate. They're just chatting in the background there as we take some fuel on board the immaculate Yamaha. Time to lock up the tank and get back out there. Atley will swing his leg over. Dowson just giving him that information. This is really turning out to be an interesting race now, with, unfortunately, Turnbull and Geronimo being taken from the event. So, Atley, man, he's always doing everything 100 mile an hour, that guy, isn't he? Dowson will probably put a bit of an older head on young shoulders today.
Yeah, that's right. Michael's more the calming influence, but they're in quite a heated discussion there while the mechanics are just finishing off the final preparations to get it out on the machine for another stint.
So Atley about to go out. We'll watch with interest how he fares. Well, you got yourself to blame for this one. We came back, like you said. How you feeling?
As I anticipated, I think. No, actually, it's not bad. Now the race is in the middle of the way and the boys are starting to settle down. The riders aren't sort of so erratic. There's a couple of crashes out there, but the track's in good shape. Had a few sprinkles of water, but all in all, I'm enjoying it.
How do you judge it when you're starting to get a few sprinkles of water? I mean, how do you judge when it's time to knock it on the head a bit?
When the water starts to really sort of bubble on the screen, that means the track's starting to get a bit of penetration. But the track's got enough temperature in it now, and you could probably run a fair while before we actually had to bat off. But obviously you sort of keep an eye out to see what everyone else is doing. But no, the track's in good shape. That little bit of coolness has probably made it a bit easier on the riders. So all in all, good so far.
I don't know. I think he looks pretty good considering how many laps he's been doing. He's giving away a bit of age to guys like this guy right here, Warwick Nowlan, who is just a superhuman athlete. To be able to ride the endurance at the level he does and to go away and win a world championship, I think Dowson's doing a fine job.
Yeah, Michael Dowson is doing a great job, and the old fellas are really rising to the occasion. But certainly this team, for a team that was only put together in like a week and a half, is just doing a great job at this stage. I don't want to put the mocker on them, but they're just running smoothly and everything seems to be running perfectly. The pit changes are going well, the tyre changes are going well, the refueling's good. All the riders are performing very similar times. One of the machines there pulling a bit of bodywork.
That's a naked bike now.
Yes, it's become a naked bike very, very quickly.
Wow, Mark Panos, he's a big boy, isn't he? Looks very, very tall on the machine. And that is, of course, the Motorcycle Concepts bike, the R1, owned by the promoter of today's racing, Dave Stone. So, interesting stuff there. Panos doing well. Paul Bailey, you're getting all set to go, mate. I see you sitting down there getting fired up. How you feeling?
Yeah, good, really good. Yeah, the bike's going really, really nice. We're happy with the pace we're doing, and yeah, things are looking really good at this point.
What's your plan?
Great. With the Buell, it's just to stay out there for another hour and 10 minutes. We're going to do 3 stints of that, then we'll do tyre changes at the end of that, and then shorten up the stints to the next 3 races, next 3 rides after that.
How are you going to feel towards the end?
I'll be right. Been training pretty hard for this. Terry O'Neill, I can tell him I've lost about 8 kilos, so I'm looking good.
Oh, a police officer with a sense of humour. I like that. Mind you, I wouldn't have liked to have annoyed that bloke. These guys are doing a heck of a job aboard the Buell, the Blacktown Harley-Davidson sponsored team. He's always got the sponsorship deal on the back there, is Paul. He's a very big man. This is a real feather in their cap to be still running this strongly. Well, we're up to the 4-hour mark, basically, coming into the 5th hour soon.
Yeah, no, they're going very, very well, and it just proves the reliability of these machines under race conditions. Machines that probably aren't designed to do this type of thing. They're more of a cruiser type bike, but it's doing a great job out there and running around smoothly all day so far.
Away goes Bailey. He leaves the building. We'll see how he fares later on. Simon Souness and Garth Jones aboard the 77 bike, having a pretty good day today. It's got to be said, it's an effort just to be still circulating at this point in the race. Nowlan is just blasting away at the moment. Avard and Wilshaw still running in the 3rd spot. They've got to be happy considering the 2 teams in front riding with that 3-bike system. So just at the moment, the duo, the older heads, are doing a pretty good job.
Yes, they are, and it's really getting to the interesting point of the race now where often your mind can start to wander And that's why it's important to really keep on the pace. That's what Warwick Nolan was telling you in one of his earlier stops, that you've got to really keep concentrating on racing, because if your mind starts to wander and you think what you're going to be doing tonight or tomorrow or something else, that's when you fall into problems and you forget the speed you're doing, because you've been out here for several hours running around at these high speeds, and it all becomes a little bit blasé after a while, and you just can realise how quickly you can get into trouble when you make a small mistake.
These guys are locked together. This is kind of an unusual situation right here. Certainly not something you expected to see at any point during the event. They are locked together. They managed to free themselves and both head back to the tar now, so it could have been a little bit nasty. Problem has been averted. Back to the greens. Well, let's take a look now at hour 4 in review, and unfortunately for Sean Geronimi and Chad Turnbull, they're about to become a casualty. Likewise, Daniel Breen, who threw the model down the road. Weather conditions were starting to play a bit of a factor in this. Stouffer was enjoying his time. Abbott and Wilshaw having a blinder so far today, while others, unfortunately, fell by the wayside. Thomas and Skordos having an absolute Barry Crocker today. They've unloaded a couple of times. Sean Geronimi, though, unfortunately threw the Kawasaki down the road, ending the day for himself and Chad Turnbull on a day that promised so much. It's still pretty hectic. We've even got bikes locked together. This man, Warwick Nowland, is leading the herd. He's expected to stay there at this point. And so we begin hour 5, and it's business as usual for Warwick Nowland and the Motul Suzuki team. The 750 has not missed a beat, although at the very start the guys were a little bit concerned that they didn't want to get off the line. Remember, Mark Willis was a bit concerned about that. No furrowed brows in that pit area right now. The rest of the team are having to just watch in awe as Nowland manhandles this machine around Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway. I noticed too that G has climbed on board the Bike Biz machine. Speaking of which, out comes Graham Morris. I imagine they're keeping Tony Rees for the last segment. That would seem to make sense, Dennis Neal.
Yeah, that's right. I'd say they try and put their fastest rider on for the last segment, have new tyres in the machine. The last hour is when lots of things can change and happen. So, yeah, Tony Rees definitely seems to be the fastest rider in that team at the moment. But Nolan out here in front doing a great job, running really, really smoothly. Knee on the ground through this very fast part of the circuit here. Comes down into turn 9, cranks it back down through the gearbox over the right-hand side, scrapes the gearbox on the knee on the ground, and away goes on another lap.
Roland Cruck and his team must be very happy with